Thank you for joining us. We're going to talk today about AI and how to get better results from your digital marketing. So, little introduction to us. I'm going to talk about AdTrack, talk about what AI is and how it works, look at AI search stats, how you can be AI friendly in Google's eyes and on the internet, which is really important, and how else you can utilize AI. So, I'm Ben. I've been working in the internet marketing world for nearly 30 years. I have a wealth of experience. I've worked in the outdoor living sector for about 10 years. Worked with companies up and down the UK, small businesses up to big, large, £1 million turnover companies as well. I get to work with a lot of companies in the landscaping sector. I formed the relationship between our company AdTrack and Barley, which is the British Association for Landscape Industries, about 9 years ago. And we work with a lot of their members up and down the country, from supply companies, decking, landscaping, garden design, builders and timber merchants. And from there I've formed relationships. I've been invited to talk at something called Futurescape, which is the biggest landscaping trade event in the UK. So, and our company supports that event. And I've also been very privileged to be invited to talk at Google's HQ in London. So alongside me is a gentleman called Paul, who's just flown back from America. So I'll let him introduce himself.
Good morning. Nice to see you. So yeah, my name's Paul O'Donoghue. I've had nearly 30 years worth of experience as well. I know I don't look it, but yes, it's nearly 30 years now as well. Dealing with everything from PLCs to SMEs. Yes, I've just come back from the US as well. That was a swimming pool show over there as well. For those who were not in the presentation this morning, I launched Sparta and Bista's new brand and new website. So this morning, so you want to look at some of our work, have a look at our websites. We did that. That was launched yesterday. And yeah, nice to be here. Next slide, please, Don. Excellent. So who is AdTrack? So AdTrack has been established now since 1997. What is deemed as a full service agency. So I like to think that we think commercially, the commercial reason for doing digital, because the output is driving revenue through to businesses. So we've got about 110 staff based out of Nottingham, and we're deemed what is something which is called a full service agency. So what is a full service agency? So full service agency basically means we do everything that's needed to drive performance across digital. So it's understanding how are these things all linked in together. For example, if you're doing PPC is not going to work properly if this is not designed to convert. You haven't got a cat and hell chance. And it's understanding how are these things interlinked together. For example, SEO would never work if the copywriter's not being done properly. So it's understanding all these things. It's a unique position that we're in, that we sit in the middle and we're able to understand how all these pieces of the jigsaw puzzle fit together to drive revenues. We won one or two awards. Thankfully, off the back of Ben's connections with Barley, we won the award in 22, I think, from memory, isn't it? And that was for service excellence in the landscaping industry. We're not from the landscaping industry. We work in the landscaping industry, so that was quite an honour. We continue to be, again, Google Premium Partner. We're the top 2% of Google Premium Partners in the UK, and of course we're that fullest suite with likes of Microsoft as well. So we come with one or two credentials. This is kind of our experience in the outdoor living sector. So some of you will probably notice some of these names. This is a new branding from both Sparta and Bista that was released this morning. The MPG is the Master Pool Guild in the US. So again, that's in the swimming pool sector. And again, what Ben was talking about earlier in terms of our work with the British Association for landscapers. But we also look after installers in terms of Falcon Pools as an example for those who know, and also in the hot tub industry, we've got a hot tub wellness centre based down in Southampton.
Thank you, Paul. So AI search and digital marketing. I don't know how many people in the room actually use AI, so I would ask, before I start talking, can I have a show of hands if anyone uses AI in business for their work and company? Would you mind sharing with us what you use AI for, sir? Microphone, Paul? Can we have an example? Do you have anything special you used? Is it for marketing? Is it for...
Yeah, so marketing copy. We have an AI bot for communicating with customers. We have technical support AI as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Anybody else use AI? Be happy sharing with us? Lady over there?
Hello again, I didn't get a chance to say this.
Gives Paul some exercise as well rather than standing at the front. So what do you use AI for?
So we have a augmented reality system. So we use the 3D renders, and we have an AI platform that basically puts these hot tubs into any setting, any scene. You can put people in there, sort of landscape gardens. So yeah,
Wow.
any weather, any setting. So yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. So it's beginning to touch a lot of people's lives, just for business and personal as well. So one of the key marketing channels for marketing are search engines, and the search engine market has really had a radical shape up over the last few years with AI. So traditionally people use Google to find answers. So you start typing something in, how can a swimming pool, and you'll get prompts below where the search engine is giving what it feels is the right result and answer. And the AI models can now shape those answers based on your behaviour and what you type in. Your search engines have begun to start using publicly accessible files. So things that we take for granted, videos we see on social media, YouTube, social media, things that you find on websites, PDFs can all be uploaded into the AI models, and the AI models can then use that information to learn. And we say the more information you see, the more likely it is to be relevant. And in the early days, unfortunately, a lot of the AI tech was bringing back results that looked okay, but when you start looking on the surface, it's not accurate. But over time, the accuracy has got better and better as the AI engines learn. And what we're finding now is, you look at ChatGPT, for the example, on the screen, they're all beginning to become part of people's lives now, and people are usually using AI more and more to get information. Why do people use AI? Well, unfortunately, human beings have always been intrinsically lazy. I am myself. If I want something quickly, what's the quickest way to get that information? And obviously with search engines and Google, and now with AI, people want a quick answer. So people use AI to process a complex query very, very quickly and give it results. And again, as the learning comes on, if you prompt your AI, you'll get a far greater result, more accurate. So the example we've got up here is hot tub companies near the NEC in Birmingham. If I was to just type that into the AI, I'd get some results. But if I prompted it and gave it a much more quality question or query, so I've got a 3-bedroom house, I want to find a really reputable hot tub company that installs, that's got really good reviews. I don't want to pay the earth. So those prompting queries will give me a much better result. And with all AI, if you prompt it and obviously teach it and nurture it, you'll get far better results.
Excellent. Thank you, Ben. So currently, as you probably all noticed, but if you do any form of AI search, we'll go into more detail about that in a second, there is no ads in there currently. Guess what Google are going to do, right? Because that's going to basically take a lot of their revenue away. They will be putting ads in AI. It's already been tried in parts of India and also the US as well. It's coming. So, according to TechCrunch, this is an idea of a usage of AI in ChatGPT, which I'm sure all of you know quite well about. It's got about 700 million usages per week. Google AI reviews, just a mere 2 billion per week. Gemini, which is basically Google's version of ChatGPT, 400 million. And a Google AI mode, 110 million. I think they may well be being used at the moment. And this is off the back of, I would describe probably more of a soft launch as opposed to a quick change. This is a rollout that's slowly evolving user behavior. Excellent. So launched in August 24. This is what you've probably seen this. Has everyone seen this when you do searches? It's a snippet at the top. Yep. Yep. Okay, good, right. So this is a snippet of an overview here. So what it's doing, it's dragging information across from different points of content. So we'll come back and talk about content in a minute because content is going to be important going forward. More recently, in July 25, AI mode was created. So you probably noticed this. Google sneakily put this in the top left-hand corner of a search, which is kind of going, oh, have a little look. Something's new here. Yeah, have a little look, right? And people are now beginning to do that, okay? So again, that enables you to give you a more quick synopsis about what you're searching for, okay? And that's just changing slowly user behavior. Why is it impacting digital marketing? Because sometimes when you do searches, you're sent through to a website that's going to give you an answer. If the AI overview or AI mode is giving you the answer, you don't need to click onto the website. So what you may well see is there may be a decline in traffic coming through to your website, but it's not necessarily going to affect the number of leads coming through. So what you're seeing is actually the conversion rate is going to change slightly. So it's a different type of funnel. Good, but websites and search engines are not going away. Yeah, they're not. It's a primary source of all content. Your website is viewed by AI and by the search engine as a piece of content. And it's readable content that's highly relevant. There's no point in having content for content's sake. It's all about having content for content's sake.
Thank you, Paul. So let's give you some stats behind the AI search engines and the results. So as Paul's just talked about AI overviews, they tend to show for around 99% of all searches where it's a query for information. We tend to call it in our industry a long tail keyword, which means you've typed more than one word in, quite often a sentence, to suggest what you're looking for. Okay, so that's really impactful, the AI overviews, and it's important to think about getting in there if you're running a business. Interestingly, on local searches, only 7% of the AI results are currently showing in the Maps pack, which means it's really, really important for you guys to get your Maps pack set up and manage it. You don't just leave it, you've got to keep putting content in that's human. So things like reviews, more photos, more contents, articles. The more you put into there, the more likely it is you're going to come up. And people trust that because it looks like it's credible, the business is live, there's things going on. Even simple things like at bank holidays, putting your opening hours on so people know if your showroom's open, if people are going to come down to your show site, for example. AI overview stats in the States, which is obviously a good barometer for what's going to come in the UK, has started showing in the Maps pack. So the example you can see on the screen is in Tampa in Florida, and you can see now that the AI results are beginning to integrate into Maps. So we could suggest it might well be coming over to the UK very soon. Google cites its own platforms quite often in the AI overviews, as Paul has said. Gemini is part of Google, and Google shows around 43% of its own platforms in the AI results. Things like YouTube, very, very important and impactful. But also for a business, you can get into these AI results by having your own fresh generated content that's relevant, on topic, and up to date. And again, you'll see, as Paul's shown on the right-hand side, how do I cut my grass? You're seeing results from the RHS, BBC Gardeners of the World magazine, and also from YouTube. So again, there's a blend of information coming from Google and from other people's websites within those results.
So the question is your website ready for what's happening next in terms of the evolution of AI? So as you can see here is that there's been SEO has always changed over the years. The algorithms always change, the rules and regulations always will change. All that's happening now is another further changes. So these are the type of platforms which is basically enabling you to become AI ready. As a business, it's really important to create content that can be read correctly by AI. And what that content looks like is, next slide please, Dom, is a number of different things. So it could be anything from blogs, but it's got to be a blog that actually has relevance. So in other words, if you do a bit of research to work out what people are actually looking for, you can write a blog about that particular subject that people are actually looking for. Why? Because the AI search engines need the content and Google needs the content. So therefore you're actually providing good, relevant content that actually will be usable. Digital PR, sharing news, for example, if you open a new showroom or you've got some governmental grant or whatever it may well be, it's important to keep the news. And of course, social media is another place to do these things. These two things work very similar, but this is a slightly different thing. It's from an index element from the Google search engines.
Has anyone spotted him in the room, guys? No, maybe not.
Excellent. Right. So, what can we do to help in terms of optimization? So again, this is a number of different things. So I'll probably mention a couple of times that content is going to be king. AI doesn't generate content; it repurposes content. So original content needs to be quite prominent. So in terms of content marketing, that includes case studies, articles, which is the same with blogs, frequently asked questions, all the things that are highly relevant for what people are searching for. Social media, don't need to explain it because we all know what social media is. Website blogging, effectively creating the blogs, as I said in the previous slide, and that's indexing against questions being asked or topics that's being talked about. Digital PR is your news about you as a business. It's important that people know about you as a business. Think about it as your own soundbox about you as a business. Just because you've been someone's referred to you, you can get away with that now. But in the future, you won't do because it's very easy for people to do due diligence on you. For example, me and Ben now, don't know if anybody's got an app on their phone, which is ChatGPT, or even Google it. Yeah, put both our names in, company name, and just put in there, are they any good? Yeah, have a look, First person to do it with their phone, put their phone up and we'll see what it does, right? Good.
You don't have to read the result out. Don't want to embarrass anybody.
Right. So what is types of content are effectively AI search. This is effectively EAT. Okay. So it's about experience. The experience you've got there that comes from case studies. Yeah. We've done this properly. Think about yourself in the mind of the consumer. I've never had a swimming pool done before. Yeah. I've never had a hot tub before. Now I've got the facility to actually get information at a touch of a hand that I couldn't do previously. So what are the things I'm going to want to know? Have you done this before? Yeah. Now if you haven't created no content on this on your website, then no one's going to know that you've done this before. That comes from case studies, the projects that you've done. Expertise. Are you a member of an association? Yeah. What expertise have you got? Yeah. All those sort of things. The pages on your website, do they reflect what you actually do as a business, or are you not telling people what you do as a business? You can't just presume that people know. Authoritativeness. Again, links back to, are you an expert? Have you got the experience to do this? Trust. Do I trust this company to do this? Are they a member of an association? Is there any guarantees? All those weird and wonderful things. People are very quick to make decisions very, very quickly. And the decision process, as Ben said earlier, people are lazy by nature, but we're impatient by nature. Quick answers now. And people will form that opinion very, very, very quickly. Yeah, I think the saying goes, when you meet someone new, you make up your mind whether you like them within the first 3 or 4 seconds. With Ben, I knew it in about 1 second. I didn't like him. Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much, Paul. So, types of content and pieces that meet EEAT, EAT as we like to say. So, frequently asked questions. This is one of the things we do a lot of in marketing. So, try and work out what customers are ringing up and asking you about. Put those frequently asked questions on the website. So, it's obviously serving that need. Stop people ringing you with that answer and question. But more importantly, it will help you come up in the search results. Because quite often those search questions are coming up in Google. And if you're actually matching that like for like in your pages on the internet, then they can come into your website. Obviously, recent topical content, things that are going on with the industry. So things like, for example, 30 years of the industry here, brand launches, anything that's going on in the company charitable-wise that's newsworthy, it's worth putting on. As Paul's rightly said, quotes and testimonials from your business's representatives, showing your company staff on the website says trust, authoritative, you know who you're going to get to come out and see you, and they've got experience. The actual case studies themselves, show the case study, show the products that you're installing, tag those products properly with links back to the product manufacturer or supplier, the locations those services are going into, where you're installing to. So all that information is contained within the website. If it's marketed properly, that can help you come up as well. And then obviously about us, really, really important, a lot of people miss this, is people don't like putting themselves on websites. I've been doing this for 15 years. Everyone says, oh, I don't want my picture on the website. But if you're running a company, you need to show customers and consumers who you are and your staff. And obviously have links back to your LinkedIn profile so people can see who you are and trust you, as Paul's rightly said. Can I track AI searches? How do I understand if it's working or not? So at AdTrack, we've been using a lot of tools and been testing things out. And what we've been able to find is at the top, the blue chart with the blue line is historical keyword count in the AI overview section. So when you look and see if you rank for hot tub suppliers in Birmingham, for example, do I come up in those keywords? And the orange line would be an example of a client that's got keywords coming up in the AI overview section. And surprise, surprise, it's going up and up. AI overviews is coming up a lot more on websites. And then the evidence-based is we use something called Google Analytics 4, which tells you where people are coming into your website from. And we can see in here, we've got the metrics from a referrer on AI. You've got ChatGPT, Perplexity AI, Microsoft Copilot, and our good friend Claude. It actually shows how much traffic's coming in from those sites, whether they stay on the site for how long, and whether they fill out a form or phone up and contact, which again is a really important metrics. We'll come on to that in a minute.
Excellent. So what more can you do to improve my digital marketing?
Can I write my content using AI? I'll cover this one, shall I, Paul?
You go with that one.
So this is a big myth. Can I use AI to write content on a website? Google says if you're using automatically generated content, you're likely to be in violation of their spam policies. And we have a lot of people that come to us saying, I've had a website made, I've done it really quickly, and I've used ChatGPT to put the content on. Unfortunately, that's not the way to go. And one of these things that we talk about a lot is fresh, humanized content. So relying on AI to generate website content is likely to get your website deranked or possibly banned by Google, which is a really bad thing. So using AI in the right ways can be really beneficial, but using it to put content on and shortcutting is not a good thing. We see a lot of it in blog articles as well, and obviously the internet knows where the source of the information is coming from, whether it's AI or humanly generated. So ways you can use content which are really beneficial. We use a lot of AI generated tools to get ideas, to strategize, getting people in a room and getting together with some subject matters. So for example, if you're going to research content about top trends for the swimming pool industry for 2026, it'd be really good to use AI to get some subject matters to then expand upon and get content. So if you're looking for ideas for events, for special offers, for promotions to run, for things for social media, it can give you inspiration, but don't use AI to actually create that content. Use it as a tool to actually strategize. AI to generate more leads for your marketing.
Thank you very much. So yeah, just to address one other thing, content is king. Yeah, but what is content? Content is your online reputation. It's about you as a business. It's going to be soon with this AI. It's effectively Google Smart Search. So people will be able to search you much smarter, and your reputation is going to lead on to whether or not they will contact you or not. So, anybody else remember where this saying's come from? No? Okay. Basically, it's an old saying that we said half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know what. Okay. Now, that's sort of been an ongoing problem. And when you look at, say, tracking capabilities, there's a reason why AdTrack's called AdTrack. We tend to track a lot of things for a long, long time. Everything has evolved around our tracking capabilities, and our tracking capabilities are quite high. However, there's a ceiling point that you can't go any further. Until now. If one of the goals of your website is to generate telephone inquiries, then AI can be harnessed to improve the number of quality leads you receive from your marketing. Right? Excellent. So, kind of groundbreaking, because this is not launched properly till next week. So we're going to introduce you to Air Insight. So what it does do is it gives clarity behind every call. It's a chance now for having a much deeper knowledge about how your marketing is working and how your business is working. So this is groundbreaking. Is everybody excited? Good.
Should be.
Excellent.
So it's getting launched next Tuesday. It's been 2 years in the making with a lot of research and development that's gone into this. So we're very excited.
It is. So I might get a little bit excited during this thing. Okay. So what it does do is it does a number of different things. Okay. The type of inquiries that you're receiving. Now that's really quite important. As a business owner, you're spending money to marketing, and sometimes you don't know the response back. You may guess. You may have different types of data points and trying to piece them together with sellotape and string and all that kind of stuff to try and get some sense to it. What this does is it seamlessly joins everything together perfectly. What products and services are you most popular for? An example could be your conversion rate for the BMW windscreen is at 90%, and 90% of your inquiries for BMW come from this particular geographical location. Guess what? We'll focus more on that particular location. Because why? Because it's highly profitable and you have a high conversion rate. This is information that you wouldn't have previously. Okay? How much are you quoting per day over the phone? That's quite a big thing. Now, the locations you're getting the calls originate from, where are you wasting money? Where you think is your business coming from, but where is your business definedly coming from? So now you know what inquiries you're getting, what products and services are going to be the most popular, and also you know what geographical locations, and also how much money you're quoting over the phone. Now you're getting a lot more insight than you've had previously. How many missed calls did you miss? How many times I've said, the two of us hear this every time I get a business owner go, we never miss any calls, right? So you're awake 24/7, yeah? And when you're on a call, you've got the ability to speak to two different people at the same time, yeah? You're missing calls, right? And that call coming through could be something a simple phone call coming through, or it could be the lead of your life. You do not want that going because that could be worth an awful lot of money to you. Yeah? So as a business, you do not want to miss that. But also, you want to know as a business owner, well, how are my calls being answered? If that call has come through and has been picked up, somebody in the office, have they handled that really badly and they've lost that opportunity? And it helps to create a training exercise where we can actually help and advise about how these calls are being handled. Because that's, as a business, it's everything. Lead comes in, take the lead, go out, do the job, get paid. That's how businesses survive. Yeah.
There we go. So, thank you, Paul. So, obviously, it's about inbound calls, but the really exciting thing here is you can see as a business owner, if you're not answering every call yourself, you know exactly what's being said by all your staff at any time of the day. So the platform we've got that we're launching next week has been in beta trials for a few months. The example we're showing you is for a mobile tyre fitting company. Every day it will show how many inbound calls they've had from their marketing. And on there you can see the example we're showing you, hover over it, and it will tell you the types of calls they've had. The AI is clever, it's trained and it listens for different air tags, we call them in our language, but it's basically words that people are saying, so it might well be something to do with installing a hot tub or a swimming pool or an inquiry, so you can actually tag it by the type of brand inquiry you're looking for, the location. You can tag it by the person that's answering the phone, so you can actually judge Sophie, how good is Sophie on the phone, how well is she answering all the calls, and it gives you a lot more insight into what's going on. We also have a lead temperature chart, so it will show us the actual hot, cold, medium type of call you're getting, whether it's any good, whether there's value attached to it, the time of the call, as Paul said, and more importantly, the location of the call as well. So you can see if you're actually getting the calls from the areas you want advertising and marketing to work, and whether there are areas that you're perhaps missing out on or not getting enough calls from. So you can readjust your marketing based on the type of calls you're getting into the business. So we have a platform which will actually show us the transcript from every call. So once a call comes into your company and the phone goes down, the call ends, the transcript is then uploaded simultaneously into the platform, and it's very clever. It listens to what's being said, and it will then give us information on that lead. So you can see for the example, the top example is a hot lead that's come through. We've got a transcript. We're going to be able to tell people exactly which source it came from, whether it was from an advert on Google, whether it came organically, whether it came from social media, and then you can attribute that back to the advertising spend you've got in play at the moment to make sure it's working more efficiently for you. So basically with this system, we'll take questions at the end if that's okay. So with this system, you can expand your advertising. If you're spending a set amount of money on a marketing campaign, let's say for Google, you then be able to see exactly how many leads you've had. Because before, if you've got an e-commerce website or a site that drives form inquiries, you'll get that information, but you're not getting the telephone inquiry details unless your staff are answering all the time. And quite a lot of smaller businesses are perhaps mobile as well, so they've got to take a call while they're out and about and log it. So this system does it all for you. It will also, as Paul said, it will improve the sales success of the people answering your phones. One of the companies we put this on as a trial, we found at lunchtime people weren't answering the calls because they're all on a lunch break. So you can then adjust when people are staffing the calls and make sure the right people answering the phone are fully trained up to be able to deal with those calls properly. And then obviously this information can use to work out cost per sale, cost per lead, cost per inquiry, and where you're losing money or not making enough money, you can readjust your marketing to suit where it's actually going to make you more money. We're also going to be launching further down the line this year something very, very exciting, which is an air attendant. And the air attendant is basically an AI tool that will answer the phone for your business, represent your company 100% of the time accurately, professionally, with no emotion but professionalism, and it will take the inquiry down. It can engage with the person on the phone to answer simple questions and get you an inquiry that you're not missing. So we see a lot of companies where they say they're not missing any calls at all, then the data shows us that calls are coming through where they're not being answered, or it goes through to an answer phone. And this system is going to be rolling out very soon. We're trialing it at the moment, and it's some profound results. So we'll be talking to you a little bit more about that later in the year.
Excellent. That was a bit ooh, wasn't it? Ooh, go here, ooh. Yeah. So, the other thing we want to look at is actually how to analyze your conversion. So what does a conversion mean when it comes to a website? Conversion means is someone comes onto the website and they've done something. So they've contacted you from a contact form or they've called you. Okay, so that's what's called a conversions. Now, in an ideal world is you want 100% of people coming in and 100% of people converting. Yeah? That's what you kind of want, right? The reality is it doesn't work that way because people make up their minds very, very quickly. And it could be something very subtle that puts someone off, okay? So, what do? We do use software that actually tracks people's eye movements when they come into a website. That's right, we track people's retina movements. So don't worry, it's not real time. If you're worrying that people are staring at you, it's not. It's done at another time, yeah? But it's important because you can see where people's eyes go to. So, for example, is a telephone number in the wrong place? Yeah? Or is there information that you think is so, so important and you put it in the wrong place, people can't see it? Or are you using a color that actually people can't actually see? Okay? So what this piece of kit here will do is you can see here, this is drawn to that person's face. Okay, so this Ben mentioned it earlier about about us, about putting a business owner onto about us page. Why? It's because people like people. When you run a video through an AI tool, there's two things that people's eyes are drawn to: the branding, because it's a trust signal, and two, anybody with a face, anything with a face, if they turn around, everybody's eyes go straight to the face. Why? Because people are behind the business. It's important to be real. Okay, next slide. So when you run through this actual slide, what it will do is, sorry, not slide, for this software, it will actually give you suggestions of changes to be made. A percentage here, 2% here, 5% here, means more leads coming through to you as a business. So this tool is really quite good, and it's quite groovy because it tracks people's eye movements, which is quite cool.
Thank you, Paul.
This is a little example.
So AI still needs the human touch. I think we've touched on that a lot in our talk. So we believe people at the forefront of what we do. AdTrack are committed to harnessing transformating power of AI to work alongside people. We've invested heavily in time, money and resources to give our people the latest technology so they can actually work with AI. And what we found is AI can be used to enhance the outputs we do and give a much better quality of service and dramatically affect the results. AdTrack have always been about getting high-level quality design products and services that are going to get you a really high result, conversion rate, call response, or inquiry form. And I think using our technology over the last 18 months or so, we've really stepped it up a level and got our clients to a much higher results base. So, if there are any questions, we've covered a lot of topics here. Do we have any questions from the audience?
I was just wondering, with that new software that you were talking about, whether there was any GDPR implications, because I would have thought there would have been using AI with data.
Yes, there is. So a lot of our call answering software, it's a great question. When you call through to a company now, you'll notice that it will tell you have the prompt saying the call will be monitored for training or monitoring purposes. So with this software, you've got to give a prompt to people to make sure you're not in compliance. The call will be recorded, so it's telling you it's being recorded, yes. I don't know any more details than that, but yeah, our guys, we've got compliance teams that have looked into everything that we're doing. So there's a lot of companies out there at the moment. So in the pub and restaurant industry, they use AI a lot to do bookings online. So if you ring a restaurant now, quite often you will get an AI bot that will answer the phone call. So I think as long as you're telling people, that's the most important thing. But good question. Anyone else? We're going to be at stand E80, which is just around the corner. Oh, here we go. Another one.
I noticed from your stats that some of the logs were untranscribed or not transcribed. Why would that be?
Good question. So basically what we showed you is something that's in beta testing, where we actually rolled that out. That was in the autumn. So we're actually putting more tags in so we could transcribe more things. So now we know what the untranscribables were, but in that screenshot. Sorry? Yes, they would transcribe all the calls 100%. But yeah, we're part of launching a product. You have to put it out there in the great wide world and test it and really robustly test it. So we've actually picked 4 or 5 different sectors to test it on before we can roll it out. But it's good. It's definitely coming, AI. You can't get away from it. So I was going to say, if anyone wants to further the conversation or talk individually about what you're doing, we're on stand E80. There's 4 or 5 of us today. It'd be lovely to speak to people. We really appreciate people coming along and listening to us. We've got a little video to play out. If our guys at the back can play for us. There we go. Thank you all for coming.